What I need MAGA, the anti-war MAGA, or at least those of you who pretended to be anti-war, to understand is that not only is it wildly illegal to have attacked that boat, that they're claiming were narco-terrorists, but they've provided precisely fuck all evidence for. And for those of you who might have been born yesterday, when the West says terrorist, that usually means somebody they just want to treat outside the law. Them trying to be cute about it, we can do what we want. I'm Pete Hegseth. I'm Clan Ken. That attitude might have worked 25 years ago, okay, before the war on terror, but we're living in a different world now. So even if you're a terrible person who doesn't care about human rights or non-interventionism, as you pretended to before the election with your president of peace and anti-war candidate, you should care because this puts us in danger. Like, I don't know what you people don't get about that. America is not the strong nation that it once was. What? Did you guys not see that military parade? And no, I'm not talking about the pathetic, flaccid military parade that Trump had. I'm talking about BRICS. One with Xi Jinping and Putin and Modi. They're building an alliance. That was a show of force to show that they are building power against the West. I don't even think that's a bad thing, by the way. Don't let them fearmonger you. Don't be scared of the BRICS alliance. Be scared of the way the West responds to it. Maybe they should be putting sanctions on us, okay, on our leadership. America is a dying empire. We're rotting, and that's why they're flailing. The new world is going to be multipolar, and if the West keeps fighting against that violently, people are going to retaliate. That's just how it works. And who do you think is going to get harmed when they do? I'll give you a hint. The anniversary is in 5 days. I love this country. I love my fellow Americans, and I don't want anybody to get harmed. And they're the ones, this administration, this country is putting us in danger. We're living in a new world, baby. And what's good for the goose is good for the gander, bitch, as they say. So if America is going to just do deranged shit, like attacking Venezuela and starting a war with Venezuela so that we can just steal their oil. And by we, I don't mean you, MAGA, you regular idiots that think that this is going to help you. I'm talking about multinational corporations, okay? That's who this is for. That's who the Trump administration serves. So by doing this, you are once again saying to the world, and again, this time it's different because America used to be able to just say fuck you to the world and the world couldn't really do anything about it, but the world has changed. And so if you're going to do shit like this and you are going to spit on international law, what does that mean for the rest of the world? That means that if international law is not going to apply to us and it's not going to apply to the Israeli regime, then it doesn't need to apply to the other countries either. China, India, Iran, North Korea, Russia. These bitches are playing a dangerous game. The one thing I do think is good, though, is that they changed it to the Department of War. I think that's great. I think it's great. It's the one honest thing that they've done because this is not a defense department. This is the Department of War, of offensive war. And that's why you're fucking poor. Because when you start wars all over the fucking world, someone's got to pay for that shit. And you know who's been paying for that shit ever since 2000? You. Me. And that's why this place is a fucking dump. And China, who hasn't started a war and has been building their economy for the last 30 years, has high-speed rail. How you bitches haven't had high-speed rail from Boston to New York is actually criminal.
I'm curious how much of what Trump is doing actually has to do with population decline. So if you think about what happened to Detroit when this is not necessarily population decline. Detroit lost residents because industry had left. But then you see poverty, crime, and other problems start to emerge. I'm wondering how much of what Trump is doing with sending the National Guard is to try and create a foundation of stability, because in the next 10 years, it is going to get increasingly worse with population decline and infrastructure collapse due to a lack of a labor market.
Human capital.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the largest consumer bases, the boomers, are dying. They're now at the mortality cliff. Gen Alpha is tiny, and Gen Z can't work. You saw that report that said Gen Z brings their parents with them to job interviews.
Unreal.
Yeah,
right. I did see that.
Yeah, Tate brought both his moms.
That's true. Yes. Well, you're very hospitable, which I respect. So.
That's really good. Both.
Yeah. So if the expectation is that cities are going to get worse than they are now, I'm wondering if Trump and his admin are looking at this. I mean, I'd have to say that with someone like Stephen Miller, that guy's smart, and he knows with the immigration stuff we're doing, he's looking at demographic numbers. I guarantee you the Trump admin knows full well you cannot simultaneously have low fertility and no immigration. Immigration isn't a solution, by the way. It's a bandit and a bullet wound.
Yep.
And so they're saying we can't keep doing that. They also realize we have a fertility crisis 20 years ago. So I think they're looking at this and there's something they're preparing for. If they're not, we're cooked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that there is going to be such a problem with, like we said, human capital, like that's a really big issue. And if people don't have a positive outlook on not only their communities, but also law enforcement in general, you're going to have significantly fewer police officers. I mean, it's likely, I don't know if it's likely, but I wouldn't be surprised if big cities in the future kind of become those dystopias from sci-fi movies from the 80s where you need to have a really militarized police force actually patrolling the streets and just to keep, the population safe or keep them kind of subdued,
I think 2030 is going to be wild. And for about 5 years, it's going to be nuts in this country.
How so?
So we've got the fourth turning. Strauss out generational theory. This is bothering me. You want to rotate that way? Other way. Oh. Yeah. I'm just getting my OCD on. Strauss out generational theory predicts that 2028 is supposed to be the year.
This name change is not just about renaming. It's about restoring. Words matter. So at your direction, Mr. President, the War Department is going to fight decisively, not endless conflicts. It's going to fight to win, not to lose. We're going to go on offense, not just on defense. Maximum lethality, not tepid legality. Violent effect, not politically correct. We're going to raise up warriors, not just defenders.
Everything Pete Hegseth said is true. That's why I find it very concerning that the first public use of this new name change is directing violence against an American city. Now, Maggie, you guys can't sit there and say, oh, it doesn't really matter. Trump, he just said shit. Pete Hegseth just said words fucking matter. You cannot weaponize the Department of Defense against an American city because they defend American citizens. But you can weaponize the Department of War against an American city because there's a war on wokeness. Can't use the Department of Defense against it. So you got to change the name. If you guys ever wonder how it happens, you're witnessing it. It's happening right in front of you. It's normalizing using the military against your political opposition. It's a slow turning of the dial. At this point, you have to ask yourself if you're okay with it. I'm not. I'm not cool with that. But I'm a fucking patriot, so. Hey, hope you guys are having a good weekend. Tomorrow, Sunday, I'm going to be in Seattle at the Seattle Seahawks game, the opening game with me and my mother-in-law. You've probably seen her in my videos. She's had a lot of brain tumors. So if you see us, if you see me pushing her in the wheelchair, come say hi. That would mean a lot to her. Bring booze, because I need it.
We've got historic and breaking news for the first time in U.S. history. A federal judge has declared that a president of the United States, Donald Trump in this case, has violated the Posse Comitatus Act in place since 1878 to protect the American people from an out-of-control president who's trying to use the force of the U.S. military and military troops on civilian domestic soil and against Americans. And this judge, Judge Breyer, sits in San Francisco, the brother of a Supreme Court Justice, Stephen Breyer. He is not shy, and he has said out loud that the president has, through his actions of trying to take over California's National Guard, but by extension, using that National Guard, using the Marines against Americans for domestic law enforcement purposes is not only a violation of the Posse Comitatus Act, but he says in the first 2 pages of his order that what he's observing is a president that has decided to create illegally, unconstitutionally, a federal police force to take over and use at his command and take over, obviously, blue cities and blue states. I'm Michael Popak. You're on the Midas Touch Network. Hopefully where you go for breaking news stories like this at the intersection of law and politics. Let's get down to the 52-page decision coming off a 3-day non-jury trial last month. We were waiting for this decision. We thought it went poorly for the government, for the Department of Justice's position. And this is the first time in American history that a federal judge has declared such a violation. But more to the point, let me read to you from Judge Pryor's decision.
NBC just got a major slap in the face when they decided to ask this stupid question. Watch this.
I do have to ask, and I know, and it's just something that I think we're compelled to at this moment, with the attention on President Trump, with these questions around a pardon. Did anybody see or hear of the president himself doing anything inappropriate as it related to Jeffrey Epstein?
No. Why don't you say it louder for the Democrats in the back? No. That was the response of victims. No, he wasn't even mentioned. He didn't even come up on anything, bruh. This left-leaning Democratic outlet thought it had the perfect scenario, the perfect question, live on television. Was Donald Trump, with all of the rumors around him, what about Bill Clinton? What about all of these other individuals that just so happen to be Democrat? What about none of their names being asked? Because Democrats and their left-wing media outlets only care about Epstein if Donald Trump is involved. They don't care about the victims. They don't care about the families that were destroyed. They don't care about the individuals that are having to go through therapy and their lives were changed forever. They only care if Donald Trump is involved. But let me know what you think in the comment section below, and don't forget to hit that follow button for your daily updates.
Hey, it's Pete. I'm changing planes and wanted to say something quickly about what's going on with passenger protections in the Trump administration. If you know anything about our work at the DOT when I was secretary, you probably know that we worked hard to make sure that you can get your money back when airlines let you down. But under President Trump, the Department of Transportation is starting to dismantle that work. We just learned last week that they are eliminating a rule that we lost to get you compensation in the event that gets green-lit. And they filed paperwork showing that they may get rid of other rules or weaken them, like rules that make sure that you can get your money back if the airline charges you a fee for something you don't get. Or a rule that just says the airlines at least have to tell you what their fees are before you pay. This is part of a pattern on everything from credit card fees to now the way airlines treat passengers. The Trump administration is always picking corporations over consumers. If there's any good news in this, it's that there is a public process coming where you can go on the record and tell them exactly what you think of these changes. So stay tuned for more information on how to give them a piece of your mind. I know I'll be doing that.
You should know that Mr. Valoukas' report revealed that there was no conspiracy by the corporation to cover up facts. In addition, the investigators found no evidence that any employee made a trade-off between safety and cost.
The announcement by General Motors CEO Mary Barra that the company is ceasing production in the United States and shifting operations overseas came as a shock to the American industrial landscape. It was a moment that captured not only a significant shift in corporate strategy, but also a telling reflection on the increasingly tumultuous relationship between U.S. policy and global trade. At the center of the storm was newly elected President Donald Trump, whose swift decision to impose sweeping tariffs on key trade partners sent ripples through the economy, causing both immediate and long-term consequences that companies like General Motors could not ignore. Before we begin, please hit the like and subscribe buttons for future updates. General Motors, a symbol of American manufacturing for over a century, has survived global competition, economic downturns, and technological advances. Its factories have been vital to cities such as Detroit, Flint, and Arlington, employing tens of thousands of people and serving as economic anchors for entire communities. So when Mary Barra confirmed to stakeholders, employees, and the general public that GM would cease production